We have loved these people since the day we arrived. When you love something, you protect it.
Before we proceed, who are these so-called Eternals? The Eternals are a race of godlike beings locked in a millennium-old conflict with the less evolved deviants and their originators, the Celestials. Each Eternal has watched civilizations burgeon and die from their domain of Olympia. Eternals are virtually immortal and can be restored to life, even if the molecules of their bodies are scattered. All Eternals possess the capacity for superhuman strength, telepathy, flight, teleportation, illusion casting, transmutation of organic and inorganic matter, and the generation of various forms of energy from their bodies, including force, heat, light, and other electromagnetic radiation. Some Eternals have devoted themselves to specializing in a particular facet of their powers and can increase their proficiency in one area by decreasing their power in another. Droog, Lord of Flames and Nightmares, was the Polarian Eternal son of Vulcan and cousin to Icarus. A power-hungry schemer, Droog was a disappointment to his father, who nevertheless turned a blind eye to Droog's faults. Droog, unlike the majority of the Eternals, desired additional power even at the expense of others, and this selfishness would often bring him into conflict with other Eternals, of most note Icarus. Droog would still aid the Eternals overall when required, as he did often against the Eternals' reoccurring nemesis, the Deviants. In modern times, Droog served as an agent of the KGB in Russia and found that he enjoyed torturing people. When Xiron the Tester came through Polaria, Droog planned to slay him using the weapon, a celestial gun he had learned of by torturing his cousin Icarus. Before Droog could fire it, Icarus damaged the celestial weapon's outer case, leaving Droog caught up and molecularly disintegrated in energy capable of destroying Celestials. The remnants of his molecules were later recovered by the Celestials and put into everlasting containment at the Desecration Annex. After Sprite's trickery reduced the Eternals to humans, Droog became Deputy Prime Minister under the name Ivan Droog of Berezhka, a fictional country to the northeast of Chechnya, formerly part of the USSR. Makari is the son of Verona and Mara, born in Olympia, capital city of the Eternals of Earth. He is a member of the Eternals Technologists Guild and is skilled at designing and building high-speed vehicles. Makari has involved himself in Earth's affairs more often than most Eternals. Under the name Thoth, he taught writing to the Egyptians. He was taught philosophy by Plato. He spent some time as the charioteer of Darius I of Persia. He witnessed the Trojan War, the reign of Vlad the Impaler, and the Alamo. Makari later battled Hermes of Olympus. He battled Maelstrom alongside the Avengers. He also accompanied Icarus on his mission to assemble the Eternals to wage war against the Deviants, then encountered Lord Gore. Makari accompanied the other Eternals to Lemuria to battle the Deviants. He participated in the defeat of Gore alongside the Eternals, Thor, and the West Coast Avengers. In the 2006 Eternals limited series, he has become the Dreaming Celestial's prophet. Later, when the Celestial's final host arrived on Earth, Makari along with all the Eternals killed themselves after realizing the true purpose for which they were created. The Forgotten One, also known as Hero and Gilgamesh. During his millennia of activity, the adventurer and warrior Forgotten One has used the names of or been mistaken for numerous heroes of myth and legend, including Gilgamesh and Hercules. He became an outcast from his fellow Eternals when their ruler, Zuras, decreed that he had been too proud a meddler in the mortal world and confined him to a sector of Olympus. Eventually, the Eternal known as Sprite convinced him to come out of exile and journey to the mothership of the fourth host of the Celestials to assist the Eternals in battle against the Deviants. After this battle, he was renamed Hero by the One Above All, the chief of the Celestials, who had created the Eternals and Deviants. After losing a battle with Thor, Hero and the other Eternals assisted Thor in battling the host of the Celestials to prevent them from destroying humanity. Hero later became known as the Forgotten One. He had lost his memory because a reality change created by Sprite, his fellow Eternal. He was living as circus strongman in Brazil. He was fooled by Ajak in killing Makari and damaging the Eternal's resurrection machine. Later, he teamed up with Hercules, and after that, he traveled to Deviant Lemuria, where he helped Thor, who was fighting the Deviants led by Gore. Ajak is a member of the Polar Eternals, a band of the near-immortal Eternals whose outpost lay within the Ural Mountains of Russia. His parents were Raker and Amit, and he had a brother named Rex. Ajak's earliest known interactions with humanity occurred in Babylon around 2500 BC, when he was among the Eternals who clashed with the Deviants. Ajak and his brother Rex were active in Greece, where they were known respectively as Ajax the Greater and Ajax the Lesser. He even helped the natives of Peru, where he assumed the identity of the Incan god Tecumatzin and the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl. In this time he built a city in Peru, called the City of the Space God. Ajak grew to hate Makari. His chosen role in life was as speaker to Celestials, and to be passed over like this was humiliating to Ajak. He also saw communication with the dreaming Celestial as blasphemous, since the other Celestials had banished a dreamer from their midst. He went so far as to brainwash the newly recovered Eternal Gilgamesh, using him as a pawn to murder Makari, at least temporarily. Athena is a second-generation Eternal, being the eldest daughter of Zeus, the leader of the Eternals of Earth, and Cybele. Athena was born in the city of Olympia in ancient Greece, and is thus one of the Eternals of Olympia. Originally named Azura, but her father Zeus had her name changed by royal decree to resemble that of Zeus's daughter Athena, Roman name Minerva, to seal the treaty between the Olympian gods and the Eternals, in which the Eternals would act as the gods' representatives on Earth. Athena encountered Crow when she, Carcass and Ransack joined fellow Eternals Icarus and Circe in exploring a deviant outpost beneath New York City and were aided against the deviants by the Asgardian god Thor. Thor returned to Olympia with the Eternals and fought by their side when his own father Odin sided with the Olympian gods in assaulting Olympia, believing the Eternals to be pawns of the Celestials. Athena briefly sparred with Athena, but the battle was finally called off. The Eternals subsequently merged into the Unimind to help Odin, and the Asgardians confront the Celestials, but when the Celestials destroyed the Unimind, the psychic backlash killed Zeus. Zeus' body was returned to Olympia, and eventually his power passed from him to Athena. His last message to Athena was that the Eternals' destiny lay off-world, and most of Earth's Eternals departed in the form of a Unimind to explore the cosmos.